It is Monday here on the North Shore Drive podcast from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I'm Chris Carter. He's Ray Fittipaldo. We're your Steelers beat writers here at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And as always, you can get this show on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoy it. Subscribe to this channel to get all the daily content from all of our sports writers here at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. This podcast is presented by FanDuel and is brought to you by our friends at Edgar, Snyder and Associates, who also do workers' compensation. When you've been hurt on the job, who decides when you're better? Who decides when your treatment's over? Who decides when your benefits are over? The answer might surprise you. It's the insurance company's doctors. They won't be on your side. Get someone who will be on your side. That's Edgar, Snyder and Associates. Call them at 1-800-94-EDGAR because they'll fight for the workers' compensation rights that you deserve. And remember, there's never a fee unless they get money for you. Ray, let's talk about this Steelers offense to lead off. And I wrote about this in my sidebar piece for on Sunday. But this offensive line, I think this young offensive line put together what I think might be their most complete performance as a unit this year. They basically shut down Myles Garrett. He had 2 tackle assists on the day, 3 pressures, no quarterback hits, no sacks, no turnovers, no tackles for losses, nothing of significance. They largely let the run game flourish. They got 100 yards on the ground as a team against what was the number 1 rushing defense in the NFL. And they kept Aaron Rodgers upright. He didn't get sacked once. He got hit 3 times. Between that and the passing offense finding his rhythm here and there, I thought this was a good day against a talented defense, but they only got 1 red zone trip out of it. And they were able to score on that red zone trip. But should there be more concern for the Steelers that they weren't more efficient, or would this be a positive sign for you, the way they played against the Browns?
Yeah, now, Chris, don't tell Pro Football Focus that, because Myles Garrett actually rated up at over 80. So
over 80, great.
He had a very good game.
With nothing.
He had a very good game. So, no, seriously, listen, let's not lose sight that the Cleveland Browns have a good defense, and they're more than Myles Garrett. Okay, they came into this game giving up only 247 yards per game. Yep. The Steelers almost got 100 over that. They finished with 335 yards. And really, when you look at the snap counts, I mean, they didn't have a ton of snaps in this game. The Browns were on the field a lot more. They had a lot more snaps, and they controlled the ball. They just didn't do anything against the Steelers defense. So I don't have any big problems with the way the Steelers offense played. And I made note of this in my report card, and it was specific about Aaron Rodgers, but really you could say this about the entire offense, Chris. It's like it's the same game every week. Mistake-free football for the most part. Make some timely plays when you have to, and those have been coming early in games, which is really good. And then hit a few big plays here and there with DK Metcalf. They had one to Darnell Washington yesterday. To me, they have a winning formula. They're sticking to it. And really, honestly, against a team like the Browns, they probably only needed 10 or 13 points to win this game. They ended up getting 23. I think if you would ask Arthur Smit or anyone else in that building off the record, could they have scored more? Could they have pushed the envelope more? Yeah, they could have. But they also were playing a rookie quarterback who they knew wasn't going to be a threat to them.
And they did this with 0 turnovers created by the Steelers defense on a day where they played largely well. I thought a big part of this game was also going to be, what helped break it open would be that Dillon Gabriel would throw an interception or 2 that would give them a short field, and then Aaron Rodgers could just throw one up to Darnell Washington, and that'll get a quick touchdown. But they didn't need that. They were able to move the ball. They had 8 drives. One of them was a kneel down drive. 2 of them were punts, but every other drive outside of that was a scoring drive. They were able to get in field goal range, or they drove in for a touchdown. And Ray, I think that's a good sign that they were able to do that. Now, again, you want to get into the red zone more often than just once in a game. But as you're talking about, this Browns defense, total yards per game, they rank 2nd in the NFL coming into this. Passing yards per game, they ranked 5th coming into this. Rushing yards per game, they ranked 1st. Overall yards per play, they ranked 1st. Like, this defense, efficiency wise, was marked as the best in the NFL in a lot of respects. And the Steelers didn't care. And I thought it was also important. I asked around the locker room that they were able to run the ball in the second half of the season. And we were talking about this in the press box. Like, they were wearing the Browns down. And DK Metcalf even said that's what this offense can do. And if you can wear this Browns defense down with your ability to run the football, you're going to be able to wear out a lot of other defenses that don't have this kind of talent up front.
Yeah, the Steelers threw a lot of players at the Browns, and I know they had Thursday night against the Bengals in mind when they were doing that. They wanted to play a lot of people in this football game, but look at how they distributed the snaps among the running backs and the tight ends specifically in this game. Caleb Johnson got 6 carries. He was in there more often than he had been. Kenneth Gainwell, 6 carries as well. Jaylen Warren led the team, but it wasn't like he had a huge workload. So they had fresh legs in that backfield that was able to, like you said, wear down that Browns defense. And then you look at the tight end snaps. Once again, Darnell Washington led the way with 47. Jonnu Smith, 41. Pat Freiermuth, 21. A few more than he had the previous game. Then Connor Heyward was 6. So I know that playing on a Thursday night factored into that, but I just think they had fresh legs. And by the time the second half rolled around, they were able to kind of impose their will on a very good defense.
And that's stuff that you want to be able to do. And, I brought this up. I brought this up before when talking about the importance of getting a run game. Ray, in all these playoff games the Steelers have lost over the past several years, I think that's been one of the things that have been missing from these Steelers teams is a consistent ability to run the ball in the late part of the season. When you're able to run the ball, you don't have to put the ball in the air as much. It puts less pressure on your quarterback. It grinds out, it eats clock. And that's something that if the Steelers can actually run the football when they want to against good teams, that's stuff that can win you football games, especially with, when you're outgunned at quarterback, when you're facing the Lamar Jacksons, the Josh Allens, the Pat Mahomeses. That's one way to very much offset the game, get things going in your favor and make it easier on Aaron Rodgers and his passing attack to find weak spots. And we saw that in the second half when those 2 touchdown drives they had when they were running the ball at will. All of a sudden, play action to DK Metcalf was wide open over the middle, and you had getting more one-on-one opportunities. I think that's something that if they can manifest running the ball like this and even better as the year goes on against other weaker defenses than the Browns, that could be something that wins them against better teams when they play the Bills or the Lions, or maybe even wins them a playoff game.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Running the football does, force teams to play in a different manner. They have to commit more players to the box. And I don't know how many times the Browns actually did single up DK Metcalf, but this is why it's so important to have someone like Aaron Rodgers at the line of scrimmage noticing these things, calling audibles or just noticing it and say, hey, I'm going to throw to DK on this rep when he's one-on-one against the corner. And they did it several times in that football game. He had 4 catches for 95 yards. 3 of those were for 25 yards, including that touchdown where, again, he was wide open. Nice little pump fake by Aaron Rodgers. The corner bit a little bit, and then DK was able to get 2 or 3 steps behind him. So they're playing really well on offense right now. Yeah, you would like to see a few more points and maybe put these games away a little bit earlier, but they're playing really well right now, I think, Chris.
I think so, too. I also thought the defense played well, and I want to talk about them next here on the North Shore Drive podcast because this team still needs to, as much as the important it is for them to run the ball, this team is still built around its defense being able to lead the way to win football games. And I thought there were some encouraging signs from this defense, even against an offense that is not nearly as talented as the Browns defense, but they still did some things right. I want to talk about that next here on the North Shore Drive podcast from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Chris Carter, Ray Fittipaldo. Stick with us. We still got a lot to discuss. We're back here on the North Shore Drive podcast on the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Chris Carter, Ray Fittipaldo. But first, I want to remind you, the show is also brought to you by Goldberg, Persky, and White. If you were diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, call your local attorneys at Goldberg, Persky, and White. For over 40 years, their firm has represented thousands of lung cancer and mesothelioma victims. Call 1-800-COMPLEX or visit gpwlaw.com for a free consultation. That's Goldberg, Persky, and White. All right, Ray, let's talk about this defense because, man, did they get after it. You wrote about Nick Herbig, and you talked about with Jerry after the game and how Nick Herbig was announced with the starters, and that was very much intentional. They get 6 sacks, 16 quarterback hits. That might be like the most times they've hit a quarterback in a game since they started tracking that stat. But they really got after this team. They shut down Quinshon Judkins, made sure that he didn't become a factor here. We saw the secondary be healthy largely for the first time. And I thought you saw the semblances of what this defense can be when it's healthy and doing the right things.
Yeah, you mentioned the health, and that's important because I think they do need all these pieces, or most of these pieces, playing together to make this defense work. And I just think it gives Mike Tomlin and Terrell Austin a chance to be creative. Though there was one clip on social media I saw this morning where the Steelers, it was on the Jalen Ramsey sack, his final sack. The Steelers actually dropped 2 defensive linemen. Patrick Queen and Jalen Ramsey came from Dillon Gabriel's blind side, and then they were able to get him on the ground there. So that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing them dial up some things. They're bringing pressure in different ways. They're not just that 4-man rush team that they had been for so many years where they had so much success. I think they could be that if they have to in certain games, Chris. TJ Watt and Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith are still good enough to get home a lot. But I think you're just seeing adjustments from Austin and Tomlin. They're recognizing that TJ Watt's being double and triple teamed, and they're trying to bring some different packages and some different pressures as a counter. And I think you see that in the last 3 games, especially 20 sacks on the season, Chris. 17 have come in the last 3 games.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy when you think about just like the heat that they're starting to consistently generate against teams. I think there's some good signs for this defense. I want to talk real quick about Joey Porter Jr. because he was a guy that came in, was in the first game. This is a big year for him. It's kind of a contract year, right? Because whereas he's on contract next year with his rookie deal, this is the typical third year where you want to get that extension after the third year, so you don't got to worry about it in your fourth year. And the Steelers absolutely have had plans for Joey Porter Jr. to be part of their future, but I think he still has had to prove, hey, I am the guy that you want to invest in the long term. And for a game coming off of, to start to show, hey, I can be the guy. He matched up with Jerry Jeudy a lot. I thought he showed up very well.
Yeah, 2 pass breakups. He drew a penalty against Jerry Jeudy early in the game, so that was, that certainly pushed them back, and they didn't get anything out of that drive. So, yeah, I mean, Joey Porter, we all know that he has talent. He was a number 32 overall pick. The Steelers really liked him coming out of Penn State. Sometimes for corners, and especially if you remember the knock on Joey coming out, he was kind of handsy. He grabbed a lot, and we saw that stuff surface a lot, with penalties over the first couple of years. So that'll be something to watch as we go forward here this season. But I just think having Jalen Ramsey, as a mentor, having Darius Slay back there as a mentor, I think that's helped him, and we'll see if Joey can keep it going. But you mentioned that for the first game back after missing 3 games with an injury, he was pretty darn good.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty darn good. And this is the thing that the Steelers needed to happen. They need some of their younger players who aren't the established superstars to step up this year, to start to become better contributors. And you know what? One guy that isn't just stepping up, I think that he's bursting onto the scene, Derrick Harmon. This guy was everywhere. He was stuffing the run, rushing the quarterback. He got another sack already. There was a play where you saw the Browns throw a quick pass and get a guy that was going downfield, and you see Derrick Harmon chasing him down there. That looks like mini Cam Heyward already, and I think that's got to be a relief to Carl Dunbar, Mike Tomlin, Terrell Austin being, oh, thank gosh, we got one here. We got another defensive lineman that's going to be a dog for this team, so that when Cam Heyward does eventually retire someday, that maybe we got someone to carry on.
Yeah, Heyward did that early in his career. Heyward still does that. It also reminds me of Stephon Tuitt. He would, the play would be 5-10 yards downfield, a completed pass, and he'd come barreling in and get in on the tackle. I mean, these guys are tremendous athletes for their size, and he's been a big plus since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. Kind of a shame that he got injured in that final preseason game, but they did the right thing. They got him back there where he was fully healthy with that knee, and I think we've seen what kind of player he is and what he's going to be. It's very exciting to think about the future of this defensive line. Now, yeah, Cam Heyward is going to step aside eventually, and they are going to have to continue to invest draft picks in that unit. But between Harmon and Y.A. Black getting a lot of playing time this year, these young guys are stepping up and they're doing their part for the Steelers defense.
Also, I mean, Keanu Benton, not the liability that we had both been noting about him in the first 3 games of the season. These last 2 games, I think he's been an asset to them against the run, again, taking a run away. And then, of course, being able to bring the pressure. You talked about not needing to just win with 4 guys up front. They're sending heat from the left side, from the right side. Jalen Ramsey got 2 sacks in this game. Nick Herbig's getting sacked in this game. And whereas TJ Watt isn't leading the team in sacks, and he's not on a defensive player of the year pace right now, he's still being a playmaker, but I think it is contributing to the whole of the Steelers very well, because you're seeing still teams pay a ton of attention to him, but it's getting those one-on-ones for everyone else, and the other guys are winning with those one-on-ones, and that's what this defense needs to do.
Now, if you're an opposing offense, if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Flacco is a stationary target back there, you look at these last couple of games and do you say, hey, we got to start doubling Herbig? And then do you leave TJ Watt in a few more one-on-ones? Of course, you're going to double TJ Watt more often than not, but you kind of have to pick and choose your battles there because Herbig has been so disruptive. And I thought Alex Highsmith played a good game too. He got a half sack. He wasn't as noticeable as Herbig, but I thought he was really good coming off that high ankle sprain. So they could do a lot of stuff with that 3 outside linebacker package, Chris. All those guys played. I think Nick Herbig led them with 50 snaps. Watt had 49. Highsmith had 47. And you look at, we talked earlier about saving some of these guys for Thursday night. They played 82 defensive snaps against the Browns. Patrick Queen is the only player who played 82 snaps. Ramsey was on a pitch count because of that injury, and they obviously had pitch counts for all those other guys. Heck, Jack Sawyer played 24 snaps. So they were using a lot of guys, and I think their plan was to see if these guys can be fresh for Thursday night. It's not a given they're going to be, but I think they tried to give them all the help that they need so they could be ready to play by Thursday.
That Thursday night contest, by the way, at the Cincinnati Bengals. The Steelers are 5.5-point favorites on FanDuel right now. And the money line opens as the Steelers -280, the Bengals money line +230, with the over-under set at 41.5 points. The Steelers getting those points. Go to FanDuel.com or download the FanDuel app today to make your bets on the Steelers game coming up here. Ray, I look at this Steelers team, and you talked about, Nick Herbig had a big game last year against the Bengals. I won't repeat what Jamar Chase said, but he basically, said the Steelers are going to come in here and rough us up, for a cleaner way of saying what he said.
I think he meant to say ragdoll, but yeah, it came out.
He did not say ragdoll. He said something else that means something a lot less clean for the family. But when he noted that. But the thing that I keep reminding people, and I've been saying it since I saw the schedule, the Steelers have never won a road divisional game on Thursday night football, and since Thursday night football became a thing in 2006. They have continuously lost. Now, they've never played the Bengals on Thursday night football while on the road, but that is a curse that they need to lift this week, because, and you and I have talked about this, the importance of getting to 5-1. The Ravens are now 1-5. They lost handedly to the Rams. They're in their bye week. If you can get to week 7 or week 8, with having a 4-game lead on the Ravens, and you still play them twice, you have a lot of these tougher games ahead of you. You give yourself so much of a cushion that you basically force the Ravens' hand. The Ravens are pretty much going to have to either win out, or at best, maybe they can lose 1 or 2 games down the stretch if they want a shot at catching the Steelers, unless the Steelers do have their own epic collapse. But I look at this game, and there's an opportunity with your strengths, with this Bengals offensive line, with Joe Flacco being there. There's a chance for this defense, this team, to play their style of football and control this game.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to the Ravens for 1 second, 11 games left. They would have to go 8-3, Chris, just to get to 9-8. And 9-8 wouldn't even guarantee you a playoff spot with the way the Patriots and the Jaguars and some of these other teams have been playing early in the season. But, in games like this on short weeks, you do lean on your defense a little bit more, I think. And, I mentioned it a little while ago. Joe Flacco has been a thorn in their side for how many years now? Pretty much since he came into the league in 2008. But he's a stationary target. They've been getting after quarterbacks. And the Cincinnati offensive line has not been good. I think they played a little bit better against the Packers yesterday. But the Steelers got to find a way to get pressure on Joe Flacco. If Joe Flacco is able to sit back there and do what he normally does against the Steelers defense, probably going to be a lot closer than people think. But if they can continue to bring that pressure, get hits on the quarterback, I think it's going to bode well for the Steelers. So, huge opportunity in front of them to get to 5-1 and pretty much take a stranglehold of this division here by mid-October. That doesn't usually happen in any division in football, but it could happen this year for the Steelers.
We'll be in the facility. We'll be getting you ready all week long for this quick week. The Steelers have a turnaround with that Thursday night football game in Cincinnati. It's the North Shore Drive podcast from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your podcasting app or on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to this channel to get all the daily content from all of our sports writers here at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And remember to subscribe to the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette at post-gazette.com, where you can read my work, Ray's work, Jerry's work, Brian's work, and of course, all of our reporters across all the sports here in Pittsburgh. We'll be back here Wednesday with another episode of the North Shore Drive podcast. Stay tuned for all the updates on the Pittsburgh Steelers and more. Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.